Hi, this is Doreen McCafferty from Holistic Wellness from Within, and I'm got a little story to tell you, and I really want you to stick with me until the end. I know that we have the attention span of squirrels, but this is really kind of important, and I know there's a lot of crazy things going on in this crazy world, and that's become commonplace, but my week was a little crazy too on my personal life, and I wanted to share a little bit about something you probably are aware of, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about why and how our medical system is just completely broken. So I had been working with somebody, and they had had a really severe attack after I don't think they knew at the time it was after they had eaten, but had an attack, which seemed to be in the pancreas area. And it was pretty bad. And then I put them on a program, and we decided to see if we could address some of these issues that might be causing these digestive issues. So it didn't really get a lot better, didn't get a lot worse at first, and then it started to get worse. And then I was speaking with this person, and she said, well, I'm going to be going away. And I was talking to a doctor, a friend of hers, who was a doctor, and they suggested that she needed to go to the emergency room and get some blood work done, and that she probably had pancreatitis, but if she had any kind of underlying infection, it could be serious and even fatal. So I personally didn't think she had an infection, but that was just my opinion, and it could have been wrong, and I know that. I don't have all the answers. But I had her on Juva Silver, and I really love Juva Silver. And I've seen, especially since I'd had her on it for a while, I just didn't think it was an infection. I also didn't think that she would be feeling as well as she was feeling, except for when she ate, which of course was something we did need to fix. But I didn't think she was feeling as well as she was feeling the rest of the time if she really had an infection. That was just my opinion. So anyway, I like to listen as a practitioner. I think that we need to listen to people, we need to respect them, and we need to come alongside them wherever they're at in their journey. So she said something to me when I said, I think if you had an infection that these other things would happen, and I kind of shared my opinion on that. And then she said to me, yeah, but what if? And I really realized that she really needed to have peace of mind about this, and she didn't. So he had suggested, the doctor that she knew, that she go to the ER because you get these things done right away. You don't have to wait for them. If they need to do a test, they do it. You don't have to schedule it. And so after she got off work, she went to the ER the following day. Well, again, you guys probably already know the health system is a complete, I don't know, I'll avoid swearing on here, but I can't even think of words, any nice thing to say about the healthcare system. But she ended up in a chair in a hallway with a whole bunch of other people, and they were taking everybody's personal information right out in the open, sitting right next to one another. Nobody knew what if they did have anything. I don't even want to go there. Anyway, I just know that she told me when she left, she knew what was wrong with every single person in that room that came and went, because there was no privacy, which is utterly ridiculous. I mean, we don't live in a third world country, but whatever. So eventually they actually got her into a room, and they had already taken blood. They had tried to give her medicine for pain, which she wasn't in pain at the time she went to the ER. She was really wanting to do one thing, go and see if she had an infection. She actually said to me, no one's going to do any surgery. No one's taking my gallbladder out. I'm not letting anybody do anything, but I just want to see if I have an infection. And then after that, we'll continue to work together. We'll fix this. We'll talk about it. Okay, so I was fine with that. So she gets put in a room where eventually a nurse comes in like 2 a.m. Well, I think first, I might not get all these details right. But she did go out and ask what was going on. And they said, oh, you're going to need a CAT scan. And nobody had told her that. And so she went back in the room. It was late in the middle of the night. She called off work the next day because she knew she wasn't even going to get out of there. in time to get to work the next day. Mind you, she had went in at 5 o'clock in the evening. It's now 2 o'clock in the morning. And a nurse also is trying to give her medicine that the doctor prescribed, and she hadn't even seen a doctor. It's totally, utterly ridiculous. So she had turned down all the medication. She's waiting to hear what the blood tests show. She lets them do the CAT scan, but that takes hours to come back too. And finally, 7-ish in the morning the next day, the doctor comes in and tells her that her blood looks really great and that her CAT scan is great. She has no gallbladders, no gallstones, none of these issues that she thought might be the problem. So I'll tell you why that's good in a moment. But regardless, she says to him, well, I get sick when I eat. So, what do you suggest? And I guess he kind of looked like a deer in headlights, fumbled around with his paper, didn't know what to say, had no answers for it, just that there was no diagnosis, nothing was wrong. And then said he was going to go get his boss, come back with another doctor. And they had decided that they had this great plan that they'd have her eat. And she said, I'm not going to eat because when I eat, I get sick. And right now I'm on a liquid diet. I have these issues, et cetera, et cetera. So she left. Then when we spoke, and I knew she didn't have an underlying infection, which, again, I didn't think she had one to begin with, but I'm not God. I'm not saying that I always have all the answers. It was just my feeling that that probably wasn't the issue, but it was nice to have it ruled out. And she had peace of mind that they ruled out that she had these other more serious things. And we began to talk about what we needed to do moving forward, which I'm going to get to in a minute because it's an important part of the story. But what I really want to share with you before I get to that point right now is I get this from clients all the time. There's 2 big reasons why they might miss symptoms in your body or be able to diagnose something that's wrong with you too. So the first thing that happens is, especially if I'm not working with somebody at all, may have happened to you. You have the symptoms, you go to the doctor and they can't find anything wrong with you. They tell you you're okay. Sometimes they make you feel like it's in your head. Well, symptoms are signs that something's wrong. And many times when you're in symptom mode, you're on your way to the disease, but you're not there yet. So it's not able to be diagnosed yet because your blood's always trying to find homeostasis, always trying to keep you healthy. And so blood work always, many times, will look, okay. And many times those organs that eventually might end up with those diseases that you're concerned about or that you feel like you have or the symptoms show you have would eventually appear. They're just not there yet. So they can't diagnose it. The other thing that happens to clients that I am working with is that they go through a healing reaction where their body is actually healing. Tissue has to break down, the organs, the areas that are ill or not working well are repairing, and in the repair process there can be pain. It can be uncomfortable. So that means that they're actually getting better. And in this person's case, I've been working with her and I'm like, these are healing reactions. You're fine and you're going to be fine. And this is all going to be good. So I wasn't even concerned about no diagnosis. I was glad there was no diagnosis, but I could also relate that this was coming into the fact that we do have healing reactions sometimes. I mean, if you think about it, if you do go into the hospital, let's say you have to have surgery. You don't expect to go home and have no pain. Could you imagine if you went home and called back and said, oh gosh, this hurts? They would say, well, yeah, you just had surgery. So that's the healing process. And there's a healing process that happens in our body. So when we're healing from some digestive issue, and I had done Oberon scans on her. Those are bioresonance scans. I knew, and I said up front when we were talking about the infection, I said, I'm seeing all these crazy things going on in your digestive tract. So there's all kinds of reasons why what you're experiencing is not diagnosable, because with the Oberon, we're looking really deep in the body. We're looking at that energy, not always diagnosed, but I really felt like I had a handle on what might be happening. So the other thing I knew from the Oberon is that she had a lot of parasites, and a particular parasite that was in these areas where she was having this pain. And I had just sent the parasite cleanse to her. She hadn't even started it. She got it the day that she went to the hospital and then went through this story. So anyway, we got her on the parasite cleanse, and this person's going to be fine. These are healing reactions that you might go through when you're getting well. But again, if you're not going to get well, you're going to get worse, and you are going to end up with these issues. And so you'd rather have a healing reaction than end up with a diagnosable disease and surgery and all the other crazy interventions that they do in conventional medicine. So conventional medicine doesn't know about healing reactions. They don't really look for parasites unless you've been to a third world country, and then, oh my gosh, you probably have parasites. But that's BS, because we all have parasites, and there's parasites, and I don't even need to go there. They're just everywhere. You don't have to go to a third world country to get them. So anyway, conventional medicine is really messed up. And I'm not saying that you don't need to use it sometimes, but I'm saying that it's messed up. Trying to give people medication they don't need. And, again, I really trusted this person, knowing that they weren't going to go in. And of course, it would have been their decision if they had wanted to do so, but I knew they weren't going in there to have surgery or have organs removed or anything else. It's ridiculous. But the whole thing with the infection was what was really the reason they went in. But I just wanted to share this story with you because this is how broken our system is. No privacy at the hospital, pushing medication, keeping somebody at the hospital from 5 o'clock in the evening until 7 the next morning to do 2 tests. Just a mess. It's just a mess. So my advice to you is to work with a practitioner to get well, because if you're well, hopefully you can avoid conventional medicine and hospitals and these places. So anyway, if you have any questions or you have anything you'd like to know about healing, wellness, balancing your minerals, bringing your body into homeostasis, please contact me. You can always go to the link in my bio and find information on my website, find my contact information, but I'd love to speak with you or work with you. But if you can, stay out of the system. It really isn't a healing system. That's my little bit of free advice to you. But again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do. In my opinion, I'd avoid those situations. Have a great and wonderful day.